Good morning, everyone. Welcome all. Today we are going to read a poem named Lines Written in Early Spring. Children, do you know this poem tells a poet's connection with nature? Now tell me, have you ever spent some time in nature? Yes, you have spent time in park or garden, etc. And you all know it is very relaxing. It gives a pleasure. The same thing we have to find in our poem. The poem is written by William Wordsworth. So, first, let us know something about its author. William Wordsworth, born in 1770, died in 1850. He was one of the most influential England's romantic poets. He began to write poetry while he was at school, but none was published until 1793. Throughout his work, nature provides the ultimate good influence on the human mind. He repeatedly emphasizes the importance of nature to an individual's intellectual and spiritual development. His poems, such as Daffodils, London, 1802, The Prelude, etc., explains his love of nature. So, children, let us start our poem. I heard a thousand blended notes while in a grove I sat reclined. In these lines, the poet says that while he was sitting near a group of trees, means he was resting there, he heard many mixed sounds. He says he found himself in a happy mood. In that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. Here the poet says he found himself in a happy mood there. But this very happy mood also brought sad thoughts to the mind. Of course, the happy mood came from his being in nature, but this sad mood came from his thinking about the sad condition of human being. It was so because man himself was responsible for his miserable condition. Students, now second stanza. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Children, in these lines, the poet treats nature as a living being. He says that nature links the human with her works through her sight and sounds. It was the same soul which runs the poet himself. The poet says he himself has made the life of fellow human beings miserable. Children, now move to the third stanza. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreath, and this my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. Children, primrose and periwinkle are the name of the flowers. And in these lines, the poet treats the flowers as they were also human beings. He says that in that shady place, in the garden, he saw a variety of flowers. He looked at beautiful flowers and looked that they had life in them. He saw that the periwinkle formed a ring around the clusters of primrose flowers, as if they were embracing each other. This filled the poet with the faith that every flower in nature has life in it, like human beings. Every flower of plant enjoys the air it inhales. Students, now here it comes the next stanza. The birds around me hopped and played. Their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The poet continues to observe the nature. He saw how the birds were playing and jumping around him. Of course, he could not know their thoughts. He says their movement gave him the idea that they were quite happy there. Every movement of the birds made was full of enjoyment. In short, they were enjoying with the nature a lot. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. In these lines, the poet continues to describe the events in the nature. He says that the newly grown small branches seemed to spread out their leaves to get the air they needed. In last two lines of this stanza, the poet says that this showed that they had life in them. This led the poet to believe that there was a great joy in nature. So, children, this is the last stanza of the poem. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? In these lines, the poet says from his experience in nature. The poet is convinced that there is life in every plant and flower. He believes that the nature has made a holy plan, and according to this plan, there is a close relation between all living beings and natural objects. If this holy plan has been created consciously by the nature, there is every reason to be said about what man has made of man. In other words, man is responsible for all the misery in the world. Students, we have completed the reading and explanation of the poem. Now it is your turn to read the poem again to enjoy. We will meet soon in the next video. Till then, keep reading, keep growing, keep learning.